Hey everyone, today we're gonna make a mushroom and butternut and Parmesan Wellington. This is just a really comforting food. Looks a little bit like this. How tasty does that look, right? Okay, so we're gonna make this Wellington, like I said, mushroom, butternut. Be sure to stay through to the end because you know what? I got storage tips. I got hacks for testing your eggs for freshness, how to store your mushrooms. You're not gonna wanna miss this. The best way to store your herbs so they last for weeks. We want to stay through to the end, so be sure to check those out. And this recipe pairs perfectly with a SIP certified Pinot Noir. So I love myself some green wine. You've heard me talk about it. Sustainable wine is where it's at. Be sure to check out sipcertified.org. You can find lots of tasty wineries that are doing good wine, doing good by the planet. Let's get cooking. So first thing you're gonna do is bump up that oven to 400 degrees, preheat that baby, and then we're gonna start making our stuffing. So melt some butter in a saute pan. Then we're gonna add in our yellow onion and we're just gonna sweat those onions. And then add in some garlic. And then add in our mushrooms and a little bit of salt. And then we're gonna cook those mushrooms until they're just browned all over. Okay, so sauteed those mushrooms, now set them aside. Oh, and like I said, stay through to the end. I got some storage tips for you, especially on mushrooms. So set that aside. We're gonna go ahead and melt some more butter. We're gonna add our butternut squash to the sauteed pan and just cook it for a few minutes till it starts to get tender. Okay, take your mushrooms, your sauteed mushrooms, your butternut squash, add it to the mixing bowl with some cheese, that's some tasty Parmesan right there, and a little bit of parsley. Mix that until it's well combined, and now we're gonna prepare our dough. Go ahead and flour your work surface. We're gonna take that puff pastry dough. You're just gonna roll it out so it's just about 12 inches by 10 inches. Then you're gonna take your stuffing and place it in the center of that dough and start to build a little bit of like a loaf in the center of that dough where the loaf is parallel to the longer side of the puff pastry. Then you're gonna take the edges of that dough, lift it up and just fold it over the loaf, the mushroom mixture, making sure you shape the dough to that mixture. Do that on both sides. Now you're gonna whisk together an egg and a little bit of water and just make your egg wash. And you're gonna take that egg wash and brush over the folded parts of the dough. That way, when you fold the edges that are kind of still remaining, they're gonna stick together. And brush those parts that are on the side, and then take those parts and fold them on top of each other. Now, carefully take the loaf and flip it over onto a baking sheet. You're gonna take the dull side of a butter knife and just score the dough in a crisscross pattern across the loaf. Be really careful not to cut through it like I did. So score that loaf and then take that remaining egg wash and just wash the rest of the loaf. We're gonna take the loaf and put it on our parchment lined baking sheet and bake it in the oven for 30 minutes and just till that like pastry dough smells delicious, smells buttery, and you can see it, it's golden brown, and that's when it's ready. Take it out of the oven, let it cool for about 10 minutes, and then serve this baby up with some SIP certified wine. So why SIP certified wine? Because it's sustainable. It's good wine, it's good for the planet, so it's good for you. They do everything that they can to make sure that wineries from the farm to bottling have the tools that they need to farm and produce sustainable wine. So check out sipcertified.org for more of that. Okay, are you ready for just the tip? Of course you are. Here they are. Okay, so how to store your mushrooms. For mushrooms, you want to keep them dry. That's the key. They like to be cold and dry. So when you put them in the fridge, however you bring them home, store them in a brown paper bag. Store them in a paper bag, roll up that bag, pop it in the fridge towards the back. Kept in the coldest spot, kept in that dry paper bag, that will keep the moisture away. Your mushrooms will never get slimy and they'll last a lot longer. How to store those fresh herbs. So fresh herbs like to be stored like cut flowers. Put them in a jar with a little bit of water. You can trim off those ends beforehand. Stored this way, they'll actually last 2 to 3 times longer. So for your tougher, woodier herbs like rosemary or thyme, you can just put them straight in the fridge that way. For the more tender things like parsley, like you're using in this recipe, or cilantro, you might have to put a bag over the top to kind of protect those leaves. But if it's basil, don't put it in the fridge. Basil you want to keep out on the counter. It does not like to be cold. That's how you store those fresh herbs. Okay, are you ready for this? Want to know how to peel garlic fast? Take your garlic, break apart that bulb, put it in a pint-sized mason jar, seal that baby up, and just shake the heck out of it. It's like a shake weight. Just shake the heck out of that. In like seconds, those peels are gonna fall off the cloves. It's super easy, super fast. You can peel a whole bulb of garlic in just seconds. Have you ever wondered if your eggs are fresh? Well, here's an easy way to test that. Eggs have a little bit of an air pocket. Have you ever hard-boiled an egg and then you peel it and there's that part of it that's kind of flat? That's the air pocket. So as that egg gets older, that air pocket gets larger because the egg is drying out and losing moisture. And that's, a key to freshness, right? So what you can do is take that egg and drop it in a glass of water. If it floats to the top, that means you probably don't want to eat that egg. It's probably too old to consume. But if it stays around the midpoint or the bottom, that egg is safe to eat. Okay, there you go. Like to cook like I do? I release new videos all the time. If you have something you want to see, drop a comment down below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. See you guys next time.